morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Shush. Let's try that again. Because they're not going to want to record of me being like, hey guys. All right, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today for Pilates Sculpt. My name is Audra, and we're going to use weights, a ball, and a mini band today. As always, don't do anything that doesn't feel right in your body. Feel free to modify. And if you're at home and don't have a ball, you can fold a pillow a couple times. If you don't have a mini band, don't worry about it. You don't need it. It's just an added bonus. We're going to begin standing. So if you'll join me, and we're just going to take a second and check in with our bodies. So just send your weight forward and back a couple times on your feet, and just feel where you tend to put the most weight, right? A lot of times we tend to keep our weight either in our heels or all in our toes, and we would like a nice even weight distribution. And then check in with your knees. Are they bent? Are they hyperextended? Or are they just nice and rested over your ankles? And then we check in with our hip bones, right? Are they pointed down, forward, or up? We would ideally like them pointed just forward and maybe down a little. And then see where your rib cage wants to rest. If we're up, that can actually create more tension in your hamstrings as well as your back. If we're compressed, it's a lot in the neck. So if we can, find a nice center. And then shoulders, are they protracted, retracted? You guys are welcome to move through your range of motion. And then find center. And then with your face, or is it forward, is it back? Move through your range of motion a couple times, find center, and just see what that feels like. Now on your exhale, without changing the shape of your spine, we're just going to draw our belly button in and see if you can feel just a little bit of deep abdominal connection. And then inhale throughout your whole canister, right? So your back, your sides, and the front. And then exhale, draw the belly button back. Good. Good. Just a couple more times. Yeah. And try not to sink your spine backwards. When I say draw your ribs in, think about them just gently pointing towards your belly button. Yeah, good. Yes. Two more. So anytime we're going to do planks, do quadruped, do abs, or even some of our standing glute work, finding this nice connection through the front and big inhale through the back line will help stabilize our spine. On your next exhale, draw your belly button in, nod your chin, hollow out through the front of your body and roll down. Let your arms dangle, let your head dangle, and just see where you are. Now shifting your weight forward and back a couple times will change where your stretch occurs. Typically when we send our hips back, it's more hamstring. And when we bring it forward, it's more calf and hamstring. Hold this last one. Take your hands to one side. Nice little stretch through that side hamstring and calf. And then the other side. And then we get to come down onto all fours. Now, if at any point you need to be on your forearms or your fists, that's fine. We're just going to come into a couple cat-cows. So press your whole spine up to the sky and then sink your whole spine down. Now, as we do this one more time, notice what part wants to move the most. So for most of us, when we press up towards the sky, our thoracic wants to move more than our lumbar. And just notice if that's the case for you. And when we go the other way, most of the time, our lumbar wants to move more than our thoracic, right? So now as we do this, try to encourage the part that doesn't want to move the most to move a little bit more. Just invite the other section of your spine to be a little bit quieter, right? So if you tend to really let your hip bones dive forward and your low back sink forward, use your belly button to lift a little. Get one more like this, just starting to move through our spine a little bit. On our next one, we're going to try to articulate. So just let your tailbone melt down like Salvador Dali's clock. Pull your hip bones towards the sky, belly button follows, then the bottom ribs, mid, and followed by the head. And then widen through your sits bones. Let just the hip bones start to unwind, followed by lower ribs, mid, collarbones, good. Keeping those arms straight, just a couple more. Lift just the hip bones. And notice if one direction is easier than the other. Good. Last one. Good. Lovely. Coming back to center. Now all we're going to do, lift one hand, see what our body did. Press it down, other side. So we're starting with little kitty cat paws. If you just set the hand down and ignore the arm and don't actually push into the floor, you're more likely to have a little bit of a shifting distribution of weight. So use the floor as a prop. Push the floor away. If you need to be on your fists, that is okay. Good. Pushing the floor away, lifting your ribs just a little bit more. Yep. Beautiful. And then both hands down. Now, push the floor away again. Find that nice center. And I want you to think about your right, like your right cheek. So your right knee is pushing down and out to get that side glute to kick on. Slide the other foot behind you. Fold that in. Now think about that left knee pressing down and out. Slide the other knee. Good. Back and forth. And you can start hovering the foot barely. We're not looking for an excessive amount of height through the foot. In fact, just parallel to the floor is as high as I would like you to go. If we go too high, chances are we're going to dump forward in that hip and start overusing our erectors. And of course, if you're like, yeah, this is easy, opposite arm and leg. Good. Make sure you pause, hold for a second, and then slowly let it come down. That pause and hold gives you more indication as to what your body is doing, right? If as you pause and hold, you're like, oh, I feel my back. You might be sinking into your back, in which case, let your lower abs help you. Let that hand help you. Maybe you tend to shift, in which case, press down and out with that knee. Last one each side. And then if you're excited about this, same side. It's much harder. So reach same side, arm and leg out. And then I told you. Yeah. It's really hard. Hold for a second, slowly bring it in. If you're in between, slide it out so you're touching the floor. Squeeze maybe the glute and then hover the hand for a second and bring it down, right? You don't have to just go for the gold immediately, right? Yeah, is that surprising? No. But it can be, like, it can feel surprising at first, especially if you start on the really solid side. And then the other side, you're like, wait, why is this side so much harder? One more each direction. Last one. Yeah. Yeah. Press yourselves into a gentle rest position, letting your back relax. Take your hands up and over to one side. And then the other side. Good. All right. It's planking time. I know you guys excited. So we're going to start forearms and knees. So when you're in a forearm plank, it's tempting to have this, like, please let it be over stance. But if we can keep our arms on railroad tracks, even better. Now, press the floor away, take your knees out, squeeze your glutes forward. So we're not in a huge position. Good. And then Lift your hips. Yeah, good. Gorgeous. Tuck your tailbone just a little bit, Kyle. Yeah, there you go. Now, you can stay here, or you can tuck your toes under, straighten your legs, come into just a forearm plank. Good. And breathe. Now, just shift your weight forward and back a little bit. If you're on your knees, you won't go as far as you will if you're on your feet, because you can't actually like use your pointing and flexing to get more range, but that's okay. 2, last one, knees down, press yourselves back. Now we're going to bring ourselves forward onto our hands, but still in a knee plank, right? So we're not letting the hips drop, we're still pushing the floor away, getting those glutes nice and active. Good. Yeah. Then I want you to lift the, yeah, good. Yep, good. Lift your ribs a little bit more, not your booty, just the ribs. Tuck. Yeah, yeah, good. Now, if it's appropriate for you and your body, you can come across. Use your breath here, please. And notice how one side is going to be more exciting than the other, yeah? Now, if this is too easy, you can come into a full plank and do it. Good. Kyle, try to keep your hips still. Yeah, so widen your feet for me a little bit. Yeah, and then keep your, yeah, try not to lean to start. Use your breath to start. Hold that, hold it. Rotate your right hip bone towards the ground. That's where you're gonna go. Yeah, yes. 2. Last one. Knees down. Press yourselves into a rest position. Now roll out your wrists. And then we get to come back into a plank on our hands. If your wrists are done, feel free to use your weights. Otherwise, we're going to slide one foot back. Don't worry, we're almost done with planks, you guys. Almost. And then other side. And then bend one knee underneath you, reach it back. Other side. Good. Yeah, so, yep, beautiful. Now, if you're like, that's a little bit too much for me today, no problem. You can be in a regular quadruped, slide a foot back, and then just sneak that foot to meet you, and then bring it in. So then you're just quickly moving through a plank position. But notice how I'm trying not to move my spine here, right? My quadruped position and plank position should be very similar, if not identical. Belly buttons up, everybody. Good. Last set. You all right there, Nance? Well, you're welcome. Last one, hold, and then press your hips up. So you're coming into a little downward dog. Now curl your tailbone toward your face, come back into your plank. And then press back. Now, if at any point you're like, I would like to have my knees down, that's fine. You can either press yourself back into a little child's pose, or you can kind of just shift in and out of quadruped. Last one. Bring your feet towards your hands or your hands toward your feet. Dangle for a second. And then bend your knees, roll all the way up. Nice job. Grab your mini band if you've got it. Now, you can have this above your knees, on your thighs, or below your knees, on your calves. I personally like mine on the thighs because it's a little easier than on the calves. If you have knee issues, I recommend it being higher rather than lower. Yeah. Now, also keep in mind, these are probably going to roll And, so if it's uncomfortable, you can always get rid of it. All right, so first, nice wide stance. We're just gonna sink down into a little tiny baby squat. Now pay attention to where your knees are. I would like them in line with your second or third toe here. Good. And we're moving at the ankle, the knee, and the hip. Good. Now you can have your hands here, 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 wherever you need. Now slowly and with control, while we keep this knee still, we're going to allow this thigh to internally rotate. Notice how your foot sinks down, that's okay. Now we're gonna lift the foot and use the glute. Yeah, hold that. Now keep your big toe mound down though. Yeah, nice toe spread. Yes, then the other side, it's gonna internally rotate slowly and then bring it back. Yes, good. Beautiful, so we are, keep your heels down, sink down a little bit more. Just think about your knee. Yeah, and then rotate it back, 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 hold that. Yeah, there you go. Yep. And then it's, depending on if we're missing range of motion, it can be tempting on one side to try to move our hips, right? So in an ideal world, and do we live in an ideal world? No, so don't worry about it. But in an ideal world, we're keeping our hips still, and we're just letting our thighs, widen your stance for me, Nancy. Mm-hmm. And we're just, and then knees out more. Yeah, you're welcome. And then we're just letting our thigh bone move independently of the socket, right? Now, just because the thigh bone, sink down more, Kyle, widen your stance more if you can. Yeah, and then knees out more. Yes, now keep that. Perfect, yep, good. Now, even though we're moving our thigh independently of the hip, that does not mean that we're moving it independently of our foot. Our foot is responding, that's fine. Last one, and hold. Now sink down an inch, lift up an inch. Keep that press. Good. And then when your knees start to come in, don't worry about it from your feet. Just think about your glutes. Yes. Good. It tries to get out of any.
It does. It
Yeah. Yeah. Two more. Last one. Come all the way up. Nice job, you guys. All right, feet together. Think about squeezing your inner thighs together like you're trying to pop a balloon. And then notice how your knees probably wanted to come together a little bit. Keep that squeeze, but then rotate your knees forward. So now it's glute as well as inner thigh, yeah? We're just gonna lift one foot, hold for a second. Good. Bring it down, inner thigh, glute. Bend and just see, yeah. And just see if one side is like solid and the other side is like less solid, yeah. So it's interesting the strategies that our bodies try to employ, right? So if, for example, you sink to one side, that could be that TFL trying to help the glute, right? Or if you kind of come up and over, that could be your QL trying to help, right? So it's just information. Feel free to bend the knee. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, if you push into the floor and the foot that's lifting, just sneak it behind you, then you don't have to fight it as much. Yeah, yeah, good. Yeah, yeah. Ah. Last one like this, and then we get to change it up. You guys excited? Me too. So press down, inner thigh, then hold, and just press that knee out to the side. Now notice how that knee is going to want to internally rotate, which is why we pre-activated the glute. The other thing you can do, use the floor, okay? Nice toe spread, push into the floor to help stabilize you, yeah? Good. How's this feeling? Great. Good. 3, 2. Last one, other side. Push into the floor, find that inner thigh, find that glute. And then go. Now this is still really effective even without the band. So if the band is just in your way or you don't have one, don't worry about it. This still is effective. It just is a slightly different challenge. 2 more. Good. Last one. Feet together. We're coming into a small little athletic stance. So we're still moving at the knees, hips, and ankles. And before we do anything, wrap your hands to your back and breathe into your hands for me. So big inhale. See if you can feel your hands moving. And then exhale kind of from the front and the sides. One more. Big breath into your hands. Can you guys feel the tissue of your low back kind of expanding a little bit? Good. So that is like fairly even intra-abdominal pressure. That's what helps stabilize our spine, okay? So if at any point you're like, my back, you can come up, you can send your hips back more, it shortens your lever, or you can come back to your breath. All right, we're just gonna tap one foot behind us and fold it in. It's a little more exciting with the band, right? Good. Beautiful. Good. Yeah. Think about suction cupping the floor up just a little bit so that arch is active, but still kind of keep your feet as wide as possible. I know that sounds kind of strange considering most of our shoes cause our toes to like compress, but it's actually terrible for our feet and our balance and everything above our feet. So try to keep that nice wide toe spread. How's that standing glute feeling? Yeah, feels great. 2 more. Now, we're gonna slide this foot in and ignore this leg. Okay, we are hip hinging. So keep this knee kind of bent, and we're just gonna let the hip bones rotate around the thigh bone. It's not about getting a huge range of motion here. It's about keeping nice, stable spine, connecting to that glute, push your foot into the ground, squeeze your hips forward. I'd rather you come into hip extension than knee extension. So try to keep the knee bent if you can. Doesn't have to be super bent, but a little bent. Don't worry, we will also do this with a straight leg today so you can feel the difference. But we're gonna start bent knee. Just let the thigh bone be relatively stationary until it can't be anymore. But we're just moving the pelvis around the thigh. How's that glute feeling? Great? Good. Of course, if this is too easy, slide the foot away, slide it in. If that's too easy, let yourself hinge with an extended leg, making sure though that your knee is not coming across your body. We want to keep that knee as stable as possible, yeah? It's much harder that way, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So the knee is interesting because most of the time if there is knee instability, yes, it can come from the knee, but more times than not, it's either coming from the hip or the ankle, right? Because everything surrounding the knee affects it. 2 more. Last one. Now, tap that back toe out. We're stationary here. We're just gonna squeeze that back glute. Maybe the foot moves, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you just squeeze and pray for it to be over, right? And that's okay too. We have 5 more. 4, 3, 2, last one. Bring it up. Nice job, you guys. We've got 1 more move. This time it's gonna be a little bit more hamstring focused. It will also be erector spinae focused. So that's one reason I want you to think about your breath, okay? So instead of, same leg, yep. Push your foot into the ground. Think about your quads and hamstrings lifting up. Now, we hip hinge here. Do not go past 90. Stick your booty out. Do you feel how that is more hamstring and back? Yeah, now push into the ground, bring it up. So we're just gonna do a couple more for funsies. If you feel your back overwork, bend the knee, okay? Use your breath, couple more. And of course you can float that leg up. I find that infinitely harder. Yeah, you can. 2 more. Yeah. Last one. Guess what? Wonderful news. Other side. Yeah. So now wiggle your toes, wiggle your feet. It's great. Okay, feet pretty much together. Inner thighs. Glutes, sink it down. Good. All right. We've got this. Tap the toe out. Yeah, good save. Yeah. So think about your glute helping your knee rotate out just a little bit. So like think about screwing your femur in the socket like a light bulb. And maybe take your tailbone this much to your left. There, yes. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Do you feel more glute now? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm falling on the side.
Good. Yeah. Now, of course, if you ever need to, this goes for anybody and everybody. Sometimes I need to just touch the wall. That's okay. Sometimes even just one finger against the wall will help tell your nervous system that you're safe enough that it can figure out what it's doing, right? All right. How's this feeling? So good? So great. This side fires up faster? Yeah. Because it was working on the other side, yeah. Just a couple more. Good. Everybody feeling good? Feeling great? Yeah. 2 more. And of course, if you need a break, you take a break. Otherwise, we tap, keep that knee bent. We hip hinge, so we are rotating our hip bones around our thigh bone. Oh, now don't just lift. Push into the floor. When you push into the floor, do you feel how your whole kinetic chain just fires a little bit more? Yeah. And then you squeeze forward, try to keep that knee bent. Couple more. All right, I know Nancy and Kyle both know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask anyway. What, even though this is a very exaggerated variation, what does this hip hinge, hip extension, knee flexion help us with, especially when we push into the ground? Walking, gait pattern, which I know you're like, but how? This is, trust me, it does. You can also float a leg up, and you can even hip hinge with the leg extended. Couple more, unless you need a break, in which case, take a break. 2 more. Last one. Hold, slide that leg out if it's tapped, and we just squeeze, tap. Just a few more. 5, 4, almost there. 2, last one, bring it up. Okay, we get those straight leg ones, right? So think about your kneecap. Instead of sending it down, we are lifting it up the leg. Or to steal a Wendy cue, imagine your leg is a boba tea straw, your knee is a tapioca pearl, you want to suck the pearl up the straw. Okay, so you've got an active straight leg, and then we just hip hinge, only go to about 90. We don't need to go super far. Push into the floor, lift it back up. Yeah, get rid of it, Virginia. Yeah, throw it. You're like, you're gonna Hulk out with it. Yeah, I know. Depending on the fabric of my pants, sometimes it's like, that's fine. And sometimes it's like, I'm only going to be rolled up. 2 more. Nice job, everybody. All right, we're gonna get a little bit more rotation. So switch legs, bend the knee a little. And I want you to think just about your hip bones. Your opposite hip bone is gonna kind of dive down to point at mid-thigh. So you're internally rotating from your pelvis instead of your thigh. Come back to center, and then keep that knee lined up. Rotate the opposite way. The knee is going to want to come across, but you're gonna keep it out, right? So much like we did earlier with these, it's literally the same move, but we are moving our body around our thigh as opposed to our thigh in the socket. Kyle, don't go that far. Yeah, so bend your knees more, yeah. Yeah, there, hold, gorgeous. And then just come back to about there. So when your thigh moves, try to think more about the inner thigh, pulling your hip down and then back, because it's not so much movement that the leg moves, right? We want to keep the leg stationary. Good. Good. 2. Last one. And then other side. Wasn't so bad, right? For once. So it wasn't at the end of literally all of our glute work. So we're gonna think about keeping that leg stationary. We are just using that inner thigh to pull that hip down, right? So if my hips were forward, I'd be in this position, right? So then back to center, then rotate. So think of a clamshell here. Yeah. Don't go quite as far. Bend your knee a little bit more. Other knee. Yeah, so send your hips down and back a little. Yeah, and then think that looks great. And then on that opposite way, think of your right glute doing all the work as you push off that way. No, rotate that way. Yeah, glute, 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 knee, out, out, out. Yes, that. Yeah, do you feel the difference? A little bit, yeah. Yeah, yeah, all of a sudden the glute does all the work, yeah. Last one, nice job, everybody. Keep your band on for a second, just for fun. I know. We're gonna roll it on down. Coming down onto all fours. You can come onto your forearms if you like. Now, extend one leg behind you. We've done a lot of glute, but relatively little hamstring. Now, before we do much of anything else, just think about your toes on that extended leg. Point your toes out to the side. Now point your toes inward. Okay, that action is going to change the work. So bring your foot to the sky, turn your toes out, and just press up. Yeah, that's a little lateral hamstring, yeah? Now all I want you to do is sweep your toes in. And that should get that medial hamstring. Do you feel the difference in the leg? Good. Yeah, toes pointed towards your midline. You have 5, 4, 3, hold. Extend the leg out, bend the knee in, hold. Extend the leg out. Now when you bend the knee in, do you just bend it or do you try to drag that heel towards your glute and really squeeze that hamstring? You're like, I guess the second one? Yes, correct, the second one. So yeah, that's fine. So I would say push your right knee down and to the right. So it's going to shift your weight a little to the left. And then think about your left obliques, helping keep that hip up slightly. Yeah, yeah. Good, just like that. Yeah. And then we're just extending. And when we extend, think about pushing your foot away from you rather than just straightening the knee. Gorgeous, yeah. Does that feel better? Last 2. Last 1. Other side. Yeah, we got this. So go ahead, turn the foot out, turn the foot in, okay? We're gonna bend the knee, let the foot come out a little, just press up. We're actually not gonna keep the foot out for that long because typically, more of us tend to walk duck-footed than like pigeon-toed, right? So we're gonna now sweep the toe in so we can start training the muscles that help the toes easily point forward. Okay. Couple more. By a couple more, I mean, you know, a lot. 5, 4, 3. Now hold, extend the leg, bend it in. And extend and bend. Few more. Good. And of course, if you need a break, take one. And then press your left knee down and out to shift your hips a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Good. I know. It's so much more work. We have just a few more. 2. Last one. Knees down, press yourselves into a rest position. You are all amazing. Oh, we're not done though. We're going to turn on to our back. You guys are cracking me up. All right, so knees bent, feet flat. So first, just keep your knees a little bit together. Walk your feet out a little. Okay. Now, if this does not feel good on your knees, do not maintain this position. We're going to keep our spine relatively still, press into the floor, hip hinge up. Yeah, we've got our knees together a little bit. It just changes the work. Hip hinge most of the way down, but not all the way down. Press, squeeze. Yeah. Few more. So we don't always work internal rotation as much as maybe we should, because there is a bit of internal rotation that's happening at the knee a lot if our feet turn out. So we tend to work like external rotation, which is great. We need external rotation. However, our bodies should also be able to internally rotate our femurs. It's needed for walking. It's needed for daily life. Don't forget to push into the floor. Last one. Now bring it back. All we're gonna do, keep your feet right where they are, toes pointed forward. Bring your knees in line with your toes from the glutes. Press up, hip hinge, and back down. It's a very different move. Do you feel that added glute work? Nancy, knees out a little bit more. There you go. Huh? Yeah, you can hover off the ground or barely tap your sacrum down. 2 more. Last one. Roll it down. You guys are awesome. We're gonna move the band to our feet. Yeah. Now, this is just to get a little bit of activation through the back line of our body. It will create a little bit more work in the hip flexor, but hopefully not too much. If you need to ditch the band, it's okay. So keep your feet slightly separated. Push your feet into an imaginary wall. Bring your hands behind your head, curl forward. Now, if you're like me and you're kind of low today, that's all right. Bring your hands forward and then bring your hands back behind your head. Now, you've already found this glute, right? And this hamstring, keep that active as you press your other foot away from you. Slowly let the leg fold in. Keep this glute active as you press the other foot away. And in. Reach. Nancy, bring your heels down a little. Yeah, there you go. It's exciting, yeah? Now, I'm actually really glad we went with the medium band instead of the really aggressive band. Kyle, lift a little higher. Yeah, good. Couple more. 3. Still think about pushing that foot away from your ribs. Yeah. 2 more. Last one. Anybody's abs just already like fired up? Yeah. Now we push one out, hold, rotate towards that knee. Slowly bring it in, switch, and fold, rotate. Now, if you need to take the band off, can you? Of course. Slow and steady wins the race. No. I just have ideas, but I don't have it in me to do this at home too. Last one each side. Couple more, you guys. And hug your knees in towards your chest. Nice job. All right, we can take the band off. Yay. And go ahead, help yourself to seated so you can grab your props. Now we are going to be on our knees for a second for some tricep work, unless you're like, that does not work for me, in which case you can do it standing, no problem. So grab your weights. We're gonna bring your hands together, shoulder blades melting down your back, press your arms up. Now that's perfect. Slowly let your arms come down. 4, 3, 2, 1, press up, squeeze, hold. That's better. So Nancy, when you straighten your arms, don't let your hands come forward. Yeah, just straight up to the sky. Yeah, better. Shoulders melted out of your ears a little, Kyle. Yeah, good. How are these feeling? Not so bad? Great. Good. Now, if you're like, this is too easy, I'd like more challenge, you can always separate your hands. Mine get like, I have one shoulder that's like, I don't know what to do with that. So I like my hands together. But that's just me. Good. Couple more. If that doesn't feel great on your collarbone, we're all going to do this supine, so you can just lie down and do skull crushers. Supine, it'll have your arms in a different position. That might be better for you. Like, we have 3. Breaks are great. I saw that expression. Thought you were hiding behind the mask. I saw it. 2, good. Last 1, nice. All right, we're gonna lie down and have this near us. Now, before we add weight, let's find the work. So let your collarbones be nice and wide, making sure our back is not arching, right? So ribs slide down, elbows maybe not out to a full goalpost, but like an A-frame position. Now, as we do this, keep your humeral head heavy. You're gonna straighten the arm and then push your pinky finger up. Think about screwing that arm bone in the socket like you're screwing a light bulb in. So when you protract, we're trying to find that serratus as opposed to just pec. Then let the arm bone be heavy and slowly bring that arm back and down without the shoulder deciding to come forward and up, right? So if that shoulder anteriorly tilts, don't go out as far. 1 more. So maybe your elbow hovers off the ground instead of coming all the way down. That's okay. Last one. Now, if that's where you are, great. If you're like, I'm gonna add some weight, great. So when you press up, push your arms forward, arm bones stay down, and then you're gonna kind of spiral your arms. So your hands might almost face each other, and then let those arms be heavy, slowly descend. And then press, little spirals, yeah. So what the hands are doing is they're facing ever so slightly in. They're gonna keep that same angle, and then they're gonna face each other a little bit more. But even though that's what the hands are doing, we're trying to control it from the upper arm bone. So if you need to use your hands to lead the charge, that's okay. But if you can use your shoulder muscles, even better. Last one. And then bring your hands together, more triceps. Now we have options. You can have your hands separate or together. If they're separate, still be nice and slow here. If they're together, you really have to be slow to cut your range so you don't bonk yourself on your forehead, right? Protect your beautiful faces. Give me just a few more. If your elbows don't love this, don't go into a range that feels like strainy, right? Got 4. Trying to keep those arm bones down. 3, 2. Last one. And then bring those arms down. Keep your weights near you because we will use them again, just not yet. We're going to grab our other prop. So go ahead, help yourself up, and then bring the ball or pillow behind you, allowing your ribs to melt onto it. Now hands interlace behind your head. Bring your elbows into your peripheral vision. Good. Now keep your ribs, Kyle, scoot away from the ball just a little bit to start. Yeah. Keep your ribs drawing in and down towards your belly button. So think about that happening. Notice how it helps you up. Now maintain that as we slowly lower. Feel how your abs now are resisting gravity. Exhale, curl back up. All right. Now, as we do this, you can always adjust. If you're like, you know what, I would like to be closer to the ball, that's fine. If you're like, I would like to be farther away from it, that's also fine. We're trying not to overarch our lumbar spine here. And then think about the way we started at the beginning where we engaged our deep abdominals. Start with that and then curl. And if you come up so high that you really feel the fronts of your quads, relax your thighs. We have 4. Slowing it down. 3, hold. Slow it down. 2, hold. Slow. Last one, hold. Good, Nancy, where are your eyes? Thank you. Now extend one leg out. Good, and slide it in towards you, curl. Now slowly extend over the ball. Exhale, slowly bring it in. Now if you're like, this is too easy, I'd like more work, no problem. We're gonna use the same side arm and the heel of that hand, think of wrapping it in from your armpit, push into that leg. We curl and hold. Everyone feel that extra work? Yeah. Everybody's oblique already like, oh, hey, what is up? Yeah. Couple more. Last 2. Last 1. Hold, 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 hold. Bring that foot down. Other foot lifts, bring it in, and then extend out, and then curl forward. Make sure you pause and hold, because that's where the magic is, you guys. And then if you're ready, you're going to take that same side hand, push it into the leg, match your force, slow extension, curl, and extend. How's that feeling, everybody? So good? Yeah. Yes, yes. That is, yeah, that's really common. So some things that like tend to influence out, like one is handedness, right? But also maybe like at our desk setup, we're always rotating to one side, right? Yeah. Or yeah, if you, for example, drive the standard, right? That's very different than an automatic in what your body is doing. Now, we're gonna hold both hands behind our head. Hands come forward and then back. Bring one leg to tabletop, other leg comes to meet it. Now, we're gonna tap one toe down, slowly switch. Keep curling forwards, there we go. I know. Good. If we start relying on the ball, take a second. That means you might need a break and then come up. It's like you're trying to take a pound of weight and then try to move from your thighs as opposed to the knees, right? So push the thigh away from your face rather than just compressing the knee, right? So it's like you've got something in your knee pit and you don't want to drop it. Couple more or crush it. Everybody's abs okay? We're almost done. Last one. Feet down, extend. And then go ahead, curl forward. And we're gonna get rid of the ball for some roll-ups. Now, hey, guess what? We have 1.5 million different ways of doing roll-ups. If you need a prop underneath your low back, great, grab them. Otherwise, shoulder blades draw down, lift your ribs, and then we can slowly curl down. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the hands come overhead. Now, when you come up, think of rolling forward, not coming up, just rolling forward, using your breath. Virginie, awesome. Yes, yes, you guys did great. You didn't think I could see you, but I'm watching in the mirror. Yeah, yeah. And then we roll down, 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 down. And then curl forward. Yeah. Nice, everybody. 2 more. Last set, like this. Now, you can either stick with your regular ones, or we're going to rotate just a little bit. Roll down that side of your back. And then roll up that side of your back. It's way harder, I know. Use your breath, breathe, breathe, breathe. And then other side. Now, one side might be vastly different than the other. That's okay. It's just information. Still think about your ribs sinking down. Still think about your spine just melting and then peeling. Is it? Oh, well, this part. One more each side. And then curl. Good. Last one. And then come on to your side for a second. We are doing a side plank. So you can do whichever variation you want. Nancy's not listening, but push down into the mat, lift your ribs. So Nancy, what would I have just said to you? Yep, good. Now, we're gonna push down to lift up. Think about that top inner thigh pushing down, bottom glute pushing down, and maybe you lift your hips. Maybe that's still a lot, in which case your hips can stay down, okay? Good. Now, if you've lifted your hips, fantastic. We're gonna lift that top knee, bring it back down. Now, touch the place you felt this. If you felt it in your glute, perfect. If you felt it in the front pocket, that's not terrible, but I want you to bring your leg back a little and then see if you can feel more booty. Yeah, keep the knee back a little bit more. When you lift, yeah. So when you lift, you see how your knee comes forward. Don't lift as high. Keep the knee in line. Yes. Yeah, that was great. Did you feel the difference? Yeah. Yeah. So rotate your top hip bone forward a little. Yeah, there you go. Good. 3, 2, Kyle, top hip bone forward, belly button in, and lift your ribs more. Yeah. Extend that top leg, push it down into the ground, other foot comes out, so you're in a full side plank if you want. Otherwise, the knee stays down, no problem. 3, 2, come through center, other side. Make sure we're not in slumber party shoulder, right? We're drawing it down. We're pushing down into the ground. We are lifting the hips by pushing down. And we lift and lower. Now, once again, if you feel the front pocket, a couple things to check in, the top hip bone. If it's pointing up, it's going to be more TFL. So rotate it forward. And then if the leg is coming forward, bring the leg back slightly, don't lift as high. So we're still trying to access the glute. Yeah? Good. 3, 2, last one. Extend the leg out, press it down. Maybe this is where you are. Maybe you sneak that other leg out and we hold for 4, 3, 2, come through your plank, knees down. So knees and forearms. We're going to draw the shoulder blades down the back. Use your abs to support your spine as you slowly let your entire back come into a nice little extension. And then find your abs, come back into your plank. Belly button more, Nancy. There you go. And then slowly come into extension and then lift back into that plank. If that's too easy, of course, you can always come into a full plank, but you really have to make sure that you're lifting from your core as opposed to gripping through. Tuck your tailbone, Kyle. There. That's where you're going to go. In fact, I want you to start by finding that. Yeah. Last one. Curl your tailbone towards your face. Good. And the knees down. Press yourselves back. And then hands up and over to one side. And then the other side. And then guess what? We get to come to standing real quickly. So however you need to come to standing is fine by me. Make sure that most of your props are out of your way. And then you can either be on the floor or the mat for this tiny bit of balance work. Heel to toe. Maybe this is already a challenge. Try to keep both feet pointing forward. If one of them sneaks out, it's your body trying to like balance itself. Good, nice. Now maybe this is where you are. In which case, fantastic. Maybe you want to challenge your ocular system. In which case, fantastic. So our chin is not going to move. Stay stationary. One finger comes in front of our face. Don't stop looking at the finger. Maybe even just focusing on the finger without it moving is enough. Maybe it can slowly move across your line of vision. But once again, we're not turning our head. We're constantly trying to look at it and follow it. If your feet wiggle, is that okay? Yeah, that's just a foot and ankle strategy. Trying to find a little extra proprioception. And then switch legs. Yeah, all right. Yes. Now this time we're gonna have our vestibular system influenced. So fun, right? So now look at the finger. Don't stop looking at the finger. Finger stays stationary. Turn your head. For me, for example, when I go to one side, my eyes want to always like come off of the finger for a second to like rebalance. So when that happens, don't go quite as far and just pause, being like, no, I'm going to keep looking at the finger. Last one. Good. Feet together, flip your palms up, open your collarbones. Give yourselves a round of applause. Nice work today. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys did great today.